Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Janice Malillo, the host of Stories That Inspire Us. Yes, still a little chilly here in the Northeast, although it's a bright, sunshiny day. So I'm very blessed and grateful for that. You know, I just got to show one of the 3 books that my amazing guest sent to me. And as you all know, I love my stickies, and Meg's book is loaded with stickies, but we'll get into that in just a second. Sometimes I feel that there is not enough justice that I can do when I introduce a guest. But let me tell you a few things about my dear friend Megs Thompson. She is the word-twerker. You heard that right. Word-twerker, ghostwriter, writing coach, editor, and publisher of Megs Writes. Welcome to the Stories Podcast, Megs. I'm so excited that you are here with me today.
Thank you so much, Janice. I'm so excited. On our little pre-chat a couple of weeks ago, it was so much fun. I have been looking forward to this.
I know, like we just, and that's the beauty of, I know, as I mentioned, every podcaster does things differently, but I really love that opportunity to connect with my guests. And I just felt like we were just girlfriends right off the bat. Like there was a great chemistry there. As I mentioned, we're going to chat obviously about one of your books, but I need to show all of your books because I absolutely each and every one of them. This one is Unplug, Breathe, Create, a month of creative visualization and manifestation through meditation. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And that one actually, Janice, that is part of a 12-book series that I actually have set up so that when people, as adults, often what we get in the mail is just bills and junk. And so I actually have it set up where there's a custom meditation as well as a custom journal and a few other goodies, and they go out on a monthly basis to subscribers. So that's just 1 month.
Can I just say this? You are one creative bitch.
You know what? That's the best compliment I've had in a while, and I will take that so much.
I know you will. And as I show your next book, which I was just like, when I got all these in the mail, I was just like, oh my God, these are just like amazing. The next book I'm showing up is Just Right Bitch, a journal for badass lady bosses. 111 no nonsense, thought-provoking prompts to warm up your writing muscles and get your creative juices flowing. Love this. And the topic of discussion is everything I know about business I learned from pop music. And excuse me, I really connected with this book, Megs, and so well written, down to earth. There are, and I'm just going to come out and say it, there are a few swear words in there. So like if anyone's offended, this may not be the book for you, but I'm telling you, this is the book for everyone. You take us through this process in your book where you're like, okay, this is where I started out and it sucked. Yeah. And these are the things that I worked through. And I think that was so very poignant. And I'll tell you why. We have all been at that point. I know that I was in my business, my career, where you just kind of like, wait a minute, what the flippity flip is going on here. Yeah. But you really take it to a different level and you really point out some very natural things that maybe we didn't think of, but in such a pleasant way. So my first question for you is, when you sat down to write this book, what to you was the overall importance of getting your point across? I mean, obviously I read it and I know what your point is across, but like I said, sometimes the reader can't do the book justice.
Oh, 100%. So a little background. when I sat down to write that book, I actually was recovering from emergency back surgery. So I am a very busy person. I have to have a million projects going at once. And you'll probably see my puppies running through the household. I've always got something happening. Found myself needing emergency back surgery, as in I went to the emergency room. They did a scan and had me in surgery about 2 hours later. So it was real quick. Got
Wow.
home and I'm recovering and they're telling me, don't walk, don't bend over, don't shower, don't go to the bathroom by yourself, all of this. So I lived in a recliner chair in our living room for about 2 weeks. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I can't talk to clients. I'm on meds. And I was like, well, now's the time to write my first book. Let's do it. And so I was definitely in a place where I was feeling very vulnerable. And I decided, this is when I want to really share what my process has been with people, so that, yes, I think that everyone has it in them to start and have a successful business if they choose. Some people don't want to, but a lot of times we get stuck by thinking I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs, or I don't have a college education, I can't do it. And I wanted people to understand you can do it no matter what your background is, your history. You just make sure you do it your way. And that authenticity, people can feel it.
Oh, they certainly can, and do it your way. You certainly did. And I love, like, within the first couple of pages, you were very raw and real, of course. And this stood out well, obviously, a lot of things in your book stood out to me, but you wrote, I started by listing my values.
Mhm.
Absolutely. What are your values? Like, that is so important. I don't think we give ourselves that opportunity to do that.
We don't. And so often when we start in, I call it the corporate world, but when we start with a job or a career working for someone else, whether it be a corporation or a small business or family business, we find ourselves fitting into the box or the position that's set forth for us, which makes sense. But
Mhm.
so often, at least for myself, I can say that when I took positions, I wasn't asking them, what are the company values? What are the company ethical standpoints? Where do you stand on things like this? And not really realizing that my values did not align with the corporation's values until I had been there and had been promoted and had been there for 3, 4, 5+ years. And then realizing, okay, well, when I go home at night, the reason I feel really icky is because I'm doing things I don't feel great about, not illegal things, let's clarify, but like I'm
Right.
not following what I deem as being important and necessary. So yeah, it was a really big thing for me to really make a list of the things that I valued most, so
Mhm.
that in creating my business, in birthing my business, I knew that it was something that was fully aligned with myself and where I stood.
I so welcome what you just said, and all of it being so true, but the alignment action, people don't realize how important this is. And I go back to in that moment, and I've often chatted about this several times, in the moment my son had his accident, I was on top of the world. Like, in that moment, I was on top of the world and I loved what I did. But in actuality, I realized, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling aligned with it anymore.
Yeah.
And you go back to that saying, okay, well, alignment is great. No, alignment, of course, is great, but it's important to have that alignment with your values on how you're feeling.
Yes. Well, and it'll change, as I've matured, or still working on it, but as we grow and change as individuals, our values will change. I don't think that they change drastically, but I
Mhm.
feel like we do kind of hone in on things, sometimes things change in that priority level, but once we reach that point where we realize, hey, my values do matter. And like you said, you were on top of the world. But
Mhm.
then to have that hit you and just that realization that, no, this isn't aligned. This isn't filling my cup and fulfilling my purpose. I'm trying to fit myself into a hole that isn't quite right.
Right. And for me at the time, when I came back to, and thankfully I'm, my own boss, an own entrepreneur. I didn't have to worry about taking off all the time that I did. But it really made me look at what I was doing, how I was doing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I left the legal field because, and I have many friends that are attorneys, but I don't like working for attorneys. So why was I being a virtual legal assistant? It just didn't align. And I'm like, you have that kind of moment.
Yes. I definitely had that when I first started the business. I mean, when we all start, it's kind of a little crazy and super scary and tumultuous and exciting, all of the emotions at once in a blender. But also I was like, I got to make ends meet. I have to make money because I just left vacation and medical insurance and 401k behind. And so kind of coming into it and thinking, well, I'm going to write for anybody that'll pay me because I need to make ends meet. And pretty quickly realizing, well, I left a job and a career that I disliked, working for people that I didn't feel aligned with, against my own moral and values. And now I'm in a business that I own and run, working with people that aren't aligned and are against my values. I was like, okay, nope. I have to stay fully true to me. And it can be really hard. It can be really hard sometimes.
It certainly can. And I can certainly relate to that. One of the things in going through this process of starting your entrepreneurial journey, I know is I was coming up with excuses, right? I'm just gonna flat out say it, okay? And and when I got to this, and I'm thinking, okay, I was doing this. Wait a minute, these are all excuses. And then of course I get to the bottom paragraph. Don't make excuses to yourself or for yourself. I'm like, just like Megs is like in my head. Like, how did she know?
I love it. Well, because I was right there with you.
And I think the excuse part of it, Megs, is almost like, there's that fear within us, like, oh, I can't do this because, and we justify it. The
Yes.
justification is the fear.
Oh, I 100% agree that we make those excuses because okay, let's say I want to climb Mount Everest, but a little part of me thinks, well, I could die. The chance it's not going to happen. It could end really badly. So am I going to set about doing the training and starting the climb? Or am I going to make excuses and say, I have a poor back, my blood pressure is not good, I don't know that I can get the oxygen levels, my ankle hurts, and make excuses for reasons I can't pursue my own dream, and realizing that it's okay if your dream changes, and it's okay if your dream and purpose is not the same as others. I love watching documentaries and reading memoirs of people who have climbed Everest. It's amazing. But I also know for a fact that that is not my dream. And there is no way in Hades that I would ever try to do that, because it brings me no joy. So realizing that, just because I don't have the same goals and dreams as someone else or as another business owner, another writer, it's okay, because I want to be doing things that I don't feel like I need to make an excuse for or justify myself for. I want to do the things that, I feel like I'm using and abusing the word, but that align with me, that are right.
That is so true. And, sometimes we have to say, bye, 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 bye. All right.
Yes.
Yes, I know I should not quit my day job. Yes, that is a song by NSYNC, but it's all good. It's done with good fun, because the title of the book is Everything I Know About Business I Learned from Pop Music.
Yes.
And I just found myself asking, and I can't say the Google name because that bitch is in my room right now. Just can't say it, but I will often say, hey, play
Mhm.
by, and then, as I'm reading your book,
Yes.
so
I love it. Well, and that's originally, I had multiple different titles for it. And some of them, because when I'm working and when I'm on my own projects, a lot of it, I listen to old like 80s and 90s rap and different stuff. But I had a few people tell me that a lot of folks don't remember those rap songs, which I think is horrible and sad. But so I decided to go with pop music. So it was a little bit more understandable for a broader audience. But my life has always been focused around music. Anywhere I go for work, anytime I'm doing anything, I have to have music playing, just a soundtrack of my life. And so when I started looking at the lessons I've learned in starting a business and, the hiccups and now being successful in it, doing what I love, I could find songs where the titles or the lyrics fit so perfectly with each of the lessons that I decided, okay, I'm going to make a soundtrack for this too.
that is so important. And I just caught on to something that you said there. I'm doing what I love to do.
Mhm.
That's pretty important to you.
It's everything. It's absolutely everything. And that honestly, that's even more than my values, my ethics, my morals, my standings on everything, business plans, anything. It all comes back to, am I waking up and doing what I love to do? And with my business, Megs Writes, that holds true. I have gone on to create my own professional publishing company because that was something I wanted to do. And I love every step of that process. Creating the meditation and journaling subscription, that was something that I was intrigued about and did some research and have found that I love doing. So all of these things, and that's not to say I have tried doing some things that I have discovered I do not love doing. And that's okay. Wash your hands and on to the next. But yeah, it's the be all end all for me is this something that's filling my cup because life's too short.
It truly is. So what in your repertoire of doing, of not doing what you love to do? Like, what is one thing that you thought perhaps, oh, I'm going to love doing this, but you're like, yeah, I don't flipping think so.
So I may get a lot of hate for this. Everyone was saying you have to have a Facebook group. You have to have a Facebook group to connect with an audience and really foster those connections. And I agree. Facebook groups are amazing. They're an amazing platform and a way to build community and connections. But I have always been that girl that I want to come to your party. I want to bring a bottle of wine and hors d'oeuvres, and I want to come to your party and have a blast and then put my shoes on and go home. I don't want to have a party at my house. I don't want to host. And so that's what a Facebook group was for me. I created a Facebook group 3 times. I grew them to between 2,000 and 3,000 members each time, but it became a task. It was, okay, on Monday morning, I need to go online and I need to post in the Facebook group. And then I need to engage in the Facebook group. I need to go and invite people and link drop in other groups. And it all became this huge hosting and party planning and making sure everybody had a drink and hors d'oeuvres and everyone was sitting comfortably and getting along. And it just exhausted me and drained me. And so I killed them group by group. And I finally am now very comfortable, probably as of about 8 months ago, in saying that I don't think I'll ever have a Facebook group, and I am 100% okay with it. But I will come to your party. I will come to your Facebook group and help provide value for your friends. And I'll go to someone else's group, but I won't have my own. So that was one of the big ones where, nope.
And that's so important. That obviously didn't line with you. As you said, you tried it 2 or 3 times, obviously grew them very successfully. And, that is something that I'm working on but that's another story. But I think that it's important that you like disconnected yourself from that. You had to.
Yeah. Well, because it was just draining. And I kept feeling like I really needed to, because that was something so big that takes so nurturing. It's like a garden. You have to keep giving it attention. And I'm also really bad at gardening. So maybe that was an alignment there. But I realized that, it was going on my to-do list on my calendar as a priority every single day. And by the time I finished it, what probably should have taken me 15 or 20 minutes had taken me an hour and a half, because I would find myself staring out the window or on the floor petting the dog, or maybe making another cup of coffee, and then trying to do the things that I did love after that. I was pooped.
And you go.
Oh, I think I lost you.
Froze up. Oh, she's back.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We are back, but I'm frozen. I'm just gonna take myself off camera, bring myself back on. And this,
There we go.
today is the beauty of live podcasting. Thank you very much. That will not be edited out. And you know what? True story, kind of a sidebar story here. I've stayed true to how I started, because I want people to know how enthusiastic this is to be in this moment with you, even when things go haywire. Like, that's the beauty of doing what we do, and I love doing this. So back to the book. When you shake it off. And yes, again, I know I should not quit my day job. When we shake things off, I think sometimes we feel, especially within business, some people have very colorized vocabularies, as you have mentioned, and that's okay. For instance, my sister and I host a podcast together. I would say she's more vocal and colorful than I am, perhaps, and that's okay. We balance each other off. But when a good situation calls for us to say something, and I'm cracking up already, because I don't know if I can say this out loud. Well, I'm sure I've said it out loud quite a few times. So why don't I just go ahead and say it? Is it all right if I read that sentence to you?
Oh God, yeah, do it.
Okay. All right. Just remember, everyone, I'm reading Meg's words, but obviously I can certainly relate to this. Because sometimes a situation just calls for a good scream. Fuck. There, I said it.
Yeah.
In business and in personal lives, when things go haywire. Now, normally when something like that just would have occurred, I would have been so flustered to death. Oh my God, who cares? That the point of the matter is, do what you love, and don't sweat the small things. And if you have to, say the good old F word.
Yep. It's true. Well, and something I have found before I started my business, while I was still in the corporate world, working a job, I was so concerned about being perfect at my job and doing everything I could so that I was a valued employee and I would never get laid off or fired, or, I was trying to be perfect and curated. And when I started my business, I definitely started feeling like, okay, if I want to be a professional, I have to speak professionally, and my Facebook and social media have to be professional. My marketing must be professional, my website page, all of these things. And again, I just felt I was back in that position of trying to be something I wasn't. And I am very professional. I have a college degree. I went to school to be an elementary school teacher. You know, reading and writing are my passion. I work with business owners that are in very professional industries, like accounting and legal, you know, places where you can't scream the F-bomb, where you do need to be very professional. But I always want my clients, my audience, the people I connect with to know who I am authentically. And they know that I have an obsession with dinosaurs. When we're on a Zoom, you're going to see my Rex bust coming out of the wall behind me. I have tattoos. I have my hair bleached. I have piercings on my face. I usually have black fingernails. You're probably going to see a dog running through the screen, but I want to set the precedent that this is who I am. This is my version of professional. And then that way, when I connect with people, I'm doing it in such an authentic way that they know what they're getting. And the people that are extremely offended by how I look or how I speak or, you know, how I carry myself, then they know that I'm not for them. And I'm okay with that. It's not something that bothers me any longer. I don't have to be perfect for everyone. I just have to be imperfectly perfect for me.
You know what I hear, but more importantly, what I am listening to, what I see, what I can feel the energy is, like, your confidence, bitch, is off the charts.
It wasn't always. It definitely was not always. That's been within the last couple of years that I'm done caring what other people think about me. It takes so much effort and so much time. And I feel like from a young age, we focus so much on what other people think of us. And it's impossible to be perfect for every other person out there. And if you are putting on a mask and trying to be someone else, the connections you make aren't going to be genuine or authentic, because they're connecting with that mask. And so now it's like when people say, there's a quote and I'm totally going to butcher it, but if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember the story. Whereas if you're lying, you have to remember all the stories you tell. If you're being genuine and authentically yourself, I never have to put on a mask or remember, oh, what did I tell Janice? Because it's just me.
Right. And you know, the thing about that too is, I believe that if you are telling a story that is genuine, if you are telling a story that's raw and authentic, people will hear that, listen to it. People will see that. People will feel your energy. And for someone to tell a story, and as you mentioned, if you're telling lies, well, you have to remember the story.
Yeah.
People are going to catch on to that. People are very smart.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and authenticity sees authenticity. I've found that once I finally that switch clicked and I am 110% who I am, no apologies, no excuses, no justifications, just I am who I am. The people that I started connecting with as friends, as mentors, as colleagues, as clients, as people that I've invested in, they are also people that align with who I am, and I align so naturally with them that it gets to be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy, and it can be a lot of fun.
And again, that goes in with the whole theme of your book, how you wrote it, why you wrote it, what you learned from it through pop music. I would say that that's a rather brave.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, obviously, without giving away too much of Meg's books, I am asking questions. And if you read Meg's book, you will have a further understanding of what I mean. I love to intrigue people by what I've read. And, you know, obviously so blessed that I have 3 of your amazing books here. I want to go on to gosh, I'm just cracking up. Bitch better have my money. I'm like, oh, I spit my water out. I'm like, oh my God, I got a little watermark on here. And the first sentence was period. It's almost like no is a complete sentence. Period
Yes.
is a complete sentence.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Love that chapter. Just gonna say that, leave that right there. And now I wish I could sing this song, and I'm not going to do it justice, so I'm not going to talk about it, but I will point out one thing. And again, I'm cracking up because, again, if you read this, and oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention before I forget, I love how you set aside a few pages after each chapter to capture notes.
Yes.
Because right now I have my notes like all over the place. Now I'm going to really be writing my notes in this book because, not just show everyone
Yeah.
either.
Well, and I wanted to include those because that's a big thing for me. Like you, I am a post-it note fanatic. I have them everywhere. But then I find that even the really long lined post-it notes sometimes aren't enough for me. And so I love when I find a book that has, not necessarily even a workbook, but when it's somebody who's helping tell me their story and educating on things they've learned. I love being able to go through and write. And I hate when I'm limited to a tiny little margin or the bottom of a page. And so I really wanted to include the pages in there to write in the book, dog ear it, highlight, and if you pass it on, then you're sharing it with someone with the points that you took. So sharing is caring,
Absolutely. When you chat about, let me rephrase that. When you're looking at a situation or something in your business, or maybe dealing with one of your clients, you wrote, try again. And I thought, wow, why don't we try again?
Yeah.
Because we all fall down, we all make mistakes. So why not try again? And as you mentioned before, life is too short.
Yes. Well, and I mean, when we look at it, how many tries did it take for Edison? How many times did we try to get to the moon? Did we try to actually have a rocket go out of the atmosphere? Like, how many times have we tried to create the airplane to actually be able to fly in the past? Nobody does everything perfect on the first try. And if they say they do, I'm willing to bet they're lying. If they did, then that's amazing. They are better than I am. But I mean, even Stephen King, his first drafts aren't perfect. He has to go back and edit just like everyone else does. So we need to not hold ourselves to this standard of perfection. And if I mess up on something, I know that my clients are going to understand because I go to them and say, hey, we tried this. It kind of fell flat. I don't feel like it worked. Can we dig back in and give it another shot? And I know that they appreciate that honesty, that I'm not just going to say, well, I'm perfect and this didn't work because XYZ. It's okay. We're all human. Let's dust ourselves off. Let's get back up and pull on your big girl pants and let's try again.
Absolutely. And which leads me to the next topic. You have to believe in yourself. So now you've started a business, you've gone through this process, and maybe some things that you've tried before didn't work out. Try again. You kind of shifted things around, you shook it off, but you have to keep believing in such a way that is like, you have to put your foot on that gas pedal, even though there may be a little fear associated with it. You have to believe in yourself and what you're doing.
Exactly. and for some people that's having a vision board or setting goals. I know some people, a lot of people will write themselves a check from the future. So achieving those goals, however they look for you. For me, a lot of it was realizing I know that I'm meant for more. And not necessarily, I'm not saying a bank account or a bigger house or, brand new cars. I'm saying I want to be able to provide for my family, and I want to be able to make a positive impact on those that I encounter, interact with, and to be able to leave something behind. I don't have children myself, but elementary education and children's reading has always been front and center for me. So one of my goals is that when my business is becoming more and more successful, I want to be able to give back to schools, to reading programs. I have on my vision board that one day I will be working with Dolly Parton with her Imagination Library. That's something that I'm putting it out in the universe and I'm working towards, but I know that I need to keep going because I have these big things that I know that I need to accomplish, that I want to accomplish. And so even when I have a hard day or hard week or hard month, I have to keep believing and knowing, okay, well, I haven't just come this far to just come this far. I have a lot more left of my path to go, and nobody's going to do it for me. I'm the only me. So I got to do it.
That is so true because, as you've gone through this journey, as you've kind of twerked things, words as well, of course, because you are the word twerker. I love at the end of the book where you talk about commandments of successful business ownership. And you were very raw and real. Love that. Again, really, this whole book is very raw and real. But we need to have those set in place because it is important to have those boundaries. For instance, I work from home. I'm downstairs. I used to be upstairs. And now I have my own little area. Like when I'm down here, I'm working.
Yeah.
And I think maybe a lot of people, or maybe in that situation where people think, well, you're home, that you can do this, this, and this.
Yes.
No.
That's
I think I showed you my note that I have down here. Did I ever show you this?
yes.
I still have it. Okay.
I love it.
All right. This is a thing that I have up for my husband when I first started working down here. And it says recording shutty, because my husband is very loud. I love him to pieces. But anyways, I've kept that to remind me, like, this was my boundary.
Yes.
The door would be closed. Now he's out today. That's why it's extra nice and quiet in the house. I'm loving it. But he knows that when he comes home, if that door is closed, like, he gets it now. And it may take, and I'm saying, in family situations, it may take time to kind of set those boundaries in place, but those boundaries are important. They're there for a reason.
Well, and I agree. I think especially with so many people moving to working from home and working remotely over the last few years, I know I was working remotely before 2020, which we shall not speak of. So I was already used to having like my office at home, but my husband and I at that time were only dating and we didn't live together. So when he moved into the house and we moved in together, that was an adjustment for both of us, because I was used to having the dog that we had at the time. She had a routine, and she knew that when I closed, we had a baby gate. When I closed the baby gate on the spare room on my office, she knew that it was her quiet time. So she would chew a bone, she would play with a ball, she would keep herself occupied. And so then when he moved in and we were together, it was different because he did not know that when the gate was closed, that was quiet, occupy yourself time. And so now we're in a new house and we're married, so cohabitating, but now in the new house, we have a finished attic area, and that's my space. So he knows that if I'm up here and he can see my ring light and the twinkle lights on, he knows, all right, I'm up here doing something. And if he can hear me talking, chances are I'm not talking to myself. That happens, but not as much. So he knows to stay downstairs, and he'll leave coffee on a little table outside my door so that when I'm done, I can go out and grab it and no distractions. But it's a really big thing because it's your business. You're working. It's not, oh, I work from home, or I hate even saying that I'm self-employed. I'm a business owner. I'm a business owner, period. And those boundaries are huge.
They sure are. Now, writing coach, editor, publisher, and ghostwriter. And I think we talked about this on our pre-podcast chit chat. What is the one question you get asked all the time about ghostwriting?
Is it legal?
Is it legal? Of course it's legal.
People, but seriously want to know, isn't that, I don't know if we just didn't pay attention in high school English, but they want to know, isn't that plagiarizing? Like, no, quick lesson. Plagiarizing is legitimately stealing someone else's words. Ghostwriting is you're making an investment in a professional to take your story, word twerk it and finesse it, and then present you with a completed book. And the part that trips people up is, well, Megs, doesn't your name go somewhere? No, it doesn't, because it's not my story. It's I am a tool, I am a vessel, I am a program, if you will, that helped bring your story to an audience. And so I have some clients that will put my name, they want to do like a thanks and the dedication or something. And that's amazing. I'm deeply honored when they want to do that, but otherwise it's not my story. My name doesn't belong on it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll share my question that I believe I share with you is the question that I get all the time is, well, who have you written for? It's called ghostwriting for a reason. I can't tell you who I've written for. That would be a big ethics for me. No.
It's so funny that people think that, because usually when they ask me that, it's either right before or right after they're asking, so do you keep my name and information confidential? And they want that to be a yes, but then they want to know who I've written for. And I'm like, see question A.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, we're not poking fun at that. We just think that they're almost humorous questions, because ghostwriting means exactly that. I act as the ghost, as the vessel to create your story. Wow. So Megs, all these books, what is in store for you as far as, oh my God, and you're just bursting to tell me, so do tell.
Oh my God. I have so many things. I just realized this last week that we're now in Q2. I'm like, oh, where did Q1 go? Because I still have so many things. I'm working on some really big ghostwriting projects, which I would love to tell you about. But what I'll tell you is that they are all diverse and amazing. And I don't work with boring people. I am so excited about these stories. So that is what's happening on that front. With my publishing company, I'm really expanding that and looking at working with more and more authors who have either self-published in the past and are looking to republish with a bigger audience, getting that global distribution with a professional publishing house. So that's amazing. I'm also on my personal time. I have done really, really good, finally, practicing what I preach for my clients when they want to write, about setting aside time for me to write on my personal projects. And so every Wednesday, every week through the year, I have it blocked off that's my personal creative writing time. And so I'm currently working on a series of children's books, as well as a series of journals for different ages. and my own psychological thriller novel. So all sorts of fun things.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So Meg, how can our viewers and listeners get in contact with you further?
Yes. Honestly, the easiest way is either on Facebook, you can look up Megs Writes or Megs Thompson. Otherwise, my website is just www.megswrites.com. And my books are all there, different ways to contact me or work with me, as well as the subscription is there, so they can take a look around.
Wow, that is wonderful. And of course, I will make sure that all that gets in the show notes. Oh my gosh. Please keep me posted on where you are with your other books and the book children's series. That sounds really amazing. I am so inspired by the word-twerker. Just such a bright, sunshiny smile. I've loved this conversation, and I hope that you will definitely consider coming back again soon.
Oh, 110%. I was just gonna say, we are friends now. So you let me know if you ever have another opening or someone has to call out last minute, because I am here for it. I love it.
That's wonderful. The power of your story can really transcend into so many different things for you. I did not realize the power of storytelling until I was thrown in the midst of a catastrophe. But you know what? Now I can see beyond the doom and gloom of the situation. And I just want to report again, my son is doing very well. I am so blessed and grateful. Your story is what matters. And if you need help getting your story, up and running, don't hesitate to reach out to Megs. And of course, if you would like to be a guest and share your story on my podcast, I would love to feature you. It has been my honor and privilege to introduce the stories on the Stories podcast today. My friend, Megs Thompson, the word-twerker. Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Janice Malillo, the host of Stories That Inspire Us. Today, I was bitching inspired by this amazing person. Hey, we'll see you all again real soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Megs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.